Welcome to another episode of Armadillo Pepper TV. St. Patrick's Day is around the corner, so today I'm smoking a corned beef and cabbage. Corned beef and cabbage obviously has a long Irish-American history here in the U.S. And for this cabbage, we're going to smoke a whole cabbage with some Sriracha sauce. Now, this is just one of those regular corned beefs that you buy in the grocery, with the spice packet. This one's 3 pounds. What I've done here is trimmed off the fat. I just don't like a lot of fat on my corned beef. So by the time we got rid of or trimmed off the fat, the corned beef itself is around 2.5 pounds. Now for this recipe, you don't need the spice packet. You can just get rid of it. And what I'm going to use is this Lynchburg, Tennessee venison and wild game seasoning. Now obviously brisket is not wild game, but what I like about this is it has juniper berries and peppercorns, which a lot of pastrami corned beef recipes call for juniper berries. So I'm just going to hit both sides of this before we put it in the smoker. And you can of course also put a thin layer of mustard on here if you wanted to help this stick, but I generally don't have too much issue with that. Alright, our smoker is set at 250 degrees. I'm using cherry wood today. And what we'll do is smoke this guy for 2.5 to 3 hours, or more importantly, till it gets up to around 160-65 degrees. Then from there, we'll put it in a pan, add some liquid, cover it up, so I hope you'll stick around. Now, while that corned beef starts to smoke, let's prepare our cabbage. Now what we want to do is cut the core out of this cabbage. Now you can decide, some folks like to cut this core out and then put it back in. I kind of like that idea myself. I'm talking about putting it back in while it's smoking. And you also want to be careful not to cut through the bottom of this cabbage, because we're going to put some butter and some awesome sriracha and some other seasonings in here, so you don't want it to run out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take some of that Tennessee whiskey seasoning that we used on the corned beef, maybe a half a teaspoon, I don't know. Then I'm going to got about 2/3 to 3/4 of a cup of butter, a stick of butter I should say. You don't have to be perfect here. And then we're going to put a little bit more of the seasoning. And yes, some sriracha. Now you could use whatever your favorite hot sauce is. I don't know. We're going to use, what do you think? 4 tablespoons maybe? I don't know. And then just a little bit more of this seasoning. And then Worcestershire makes everything great, right? So a few dashes of Worcestershire. Now I'm just going to kind of smush the butter back down in by putting this core on. And then we'll wrap this guy in foil and get it ready for the smoker. What we'll do is just tuck it up around this cabbage. You don't want to cover it yet. Okay. What we'll do is sit this guy in the smoker like this. But the cabbage will only take 2.5 hours approximately. So we'll wait until that brisket gets down to about the last 2.5-3 hours before we put this cabbage in. It's been about 3 hours. This corned beef is right around 168. So now we're going to put it in this pan. I'm going to add a porter beer. I'd recommend, if you're going to use beer, that you use a dark one. You don't have to use beer. You could use beef broth, and I guess in a pinch you could actually use water, but I really like the way the beer flavors it. I'm going to put it right up to about half, okay? I'm going to add a little bit of onion. We'll just put it in the sides of this guy. Okay. And then what I'll do is we're going to wrap it up as tightly as we can. All right, we're going to slide our brisket back in here. And then I've got that awesome cabbage. I'll sit it in here and let it smoke for about another hour. Alright, it's been an hour and a half in our smoker. Now what we're going to do, let me just show you this, is we're going to seal this guy up. Before we seal it up, we're just going to put a little Kentucky bourbon all around this guy so we can steam in it. Yeah, I can't wait for this. Okay, and we're going to put this back in the smoker for 30 minutes, maybe to an hour, until our corned beef is ready. Right at 5 hours. Our corned beef is at 198. We're going to pull it out and just let it rest here for about 30 minutes. And I'm also going to take that cabbage out that we had. And let this rest for about 30 minutes. Oh my gosh. Let's take this brisket out where you can see it. Okay. I've got some of those onions here. Let's give this guy a cut. Wow, this thing is tender. Now let's get this cabbage. Okay. Whew. Pull out this plug we had. Look how tender that cabbage. Look at the juice running out. All right, total cook time right at 5 hours. Let's give this a try. Look how tender it is. Just pulls apart. Oh. Nice smoky flavor. It's awesome. Let's try this cabbage out. Oh yeah. So the cabbage is perfect. It's soft, but yet still a little crunchy. The Sriracha gives it such an awesome flavor. Oh, this might be the best cabbage I've ever had. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of Armadillo Pepper TV. If you liked what you saw today, please hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. Oh my gosh. Mm.